It is Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, 7 p.m. I'm going to call the Wayne Township Board of Trustees meeting to order. Welcome everybody, and hopefully you signed in down there. Can I have a roll call, please, Darrell?
Call roll, Mr. Jacobs.
Here.
Ms. Colvin.
Here.
Mr. Patrick.
Here.
All present and accounted for.
All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes from March 21st?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting.
Second.
I will second that.
All the wait one second. I'm saying aye.
Aye.
I know Joshua will be here, so thank you.
All right. Do we have any additions, removals, or disclosures from our posted agenda?
I do not have any.
Me neither. All right. All right. Citizens' comments. No more than 3 minutes per person and no more than 30 minutes total, please. So, whoever would like to start.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is James Melvin. I live at 9505 Hacker Farm Lane. It's come to our attention that our short road, Hacker Farm Lane, is going to be sealed this year, between May and August. But we found out just recently that it's supposed to be chip sealed. And that's something that we don't care for, and I'll tell you why. I bought my property on Hacker Farm Lane 20 years ago, and the road was nicely paved when I came down it, with all the empty lots and the farm fields. And I have pictures of all of that, which is one of the reasons I purchased the lot, because I've seen the homes that were back there, and they were just beautiful. And I thought, wow, what a nice quiet place. Since then, we've had nothing done to our street except for a few patches. So, and I know in 20 years, that's all that's been done. So that's why I'm sure something's going to be done to it, because it's a mess. But we feel that we're very happy with the township and everything, but what we get is we get our roads cleared often, and that's great. I mean, they're really good about that. Sometimes they go off the road a little bit and tear up their yards a little bit, but, you know, that happens. I realize that. But we kind of feel like, since we're on the edge of the township line, that we're kind of a nuisance. You know, that's just the way we feel. So, but other than that, I mean, I don't see any other things that the township does, and I know there are a lot of things because we pay a lot of taxes, so I'm sure there are. But we feel that we need to speak up and try to get some of the respect that we think we deserve, and I'll tell you why. We're one of the first neighborhoods seen by people that enter into the township. They come down Gephardt Road and it changes into Kendrick Road, and we're the very first neighborhood that people see. And you know, we see that the homes are nice, they're kept up all year round. I mean, every one of the homes, I'm sure if anybody's been out that way, they've seen that they're beautiful homes. On Kendrick Road, which is the main road, since I've been there, they've chip sealed that road twice, and finally, I think it was last year maybe, that they finally paved it with asphalt. And it's beautiful. I mean, it just looks so nice when you come into the township. It looks great. And I feel it has been chip sealed twice in that 20 years. So that's 3 times that something's been done to that entire road. We feel that if we get our road chip sealed, it's going to look like an old country road. Which chip seal doesn't look too bad, but it's tough for a neighborhood. It's really tough for a neighborhood. So we also feel that, well, I found out that asphalt lasts between 20 and 25 years. Now, I'm sure in the past 20 years that I've been there, it's been fixed or, sealed a little bit one time. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But chip sealing only lasts between 5 and 7 years. And that's been shown on Kendrick Road, that it hasn't lasted that long. So we feel that asphalting our road would be much more cost efficient and better for our neighborhoods. We have very expensive homes back there, and we feel that chip sealing would really bring our property values down. We also, I found that I told you about the lifespan of chip seal and asphalt, but the main types of chip seal and the problems with chip sealing, there are three things, and I've done a little homework on this. Stripping, which occurs generally along wheel paths, you get the dip in the road. Attrition, in which the chips are worn away by friction, and scabbing, which is a chip loss from patches of chip seal. When they have to come back and fix it, you get a thing called scabbing. Chip sealing can stick to the tires and cause flat tires. Plus, the layer is designed to melt in hot weather. That's to reseal its own cracks, which makes little balls of tar fly up from your tires and stick to the frame and exterior, causing inflated wear and damage to the vehicles. Chip sealing, we have our cars, everybody's got 2 or 3 cars. We have ATVs on the road. We have, and it's very dangerous to drive our motorcycles, which I have a motorcycle, so I know what that's like coming down Kendrick Road. It's tough. But, and we have kids on the street that ride bicycles, and that's hard for them to ride on chip sealing. We also, I just realized that, this was brought up to me today, but I never thought of it. We have a lot of people that walk on our street. I mean, this is almost daily, at least every other day. We have moms with their strollers, with their babies. We have people that walk their dogs, people that jog. We have just a lot of people on the street. We think that actual modern asphalt roads are much more cost efficient and better. And we really think we deserve it. We really, and the whole neighborhood feels that same way. All of us in the neighborhood feel this way, and we're willing to sign a petition or whatever is required, whatever you would like for us to do to get everyone's signature, not just a majority, but everyone's signature. So we don't want the chip sealing, because we've seen it, and we know what it is, and we've seen other neighborhoods with it, and it's just terrible. And it would just be much, much more cost efficient for the township. And plus you'd make a lot of people really happy. I noticed that one thing I found out, that asphalt is mainly used for highways and streets, where blacktop is a subset of asphalt, and it's used more for driveways and sometimes parking lots. So blacktop is not even a really good recommendation, but asphalt is perfect. Our Kendrick Road is just beautiful. I mean, just having that outside road paved helps us a lot. So, I hope I didn't use too many more minutes, but that's what I'm gonna say. I'll answer any questions that.
Mr. President, may I?
Yes, you can do whatever you're wanting to.
And typically with our citizens' comments, we reserve the right to respond or not respond. Sometimes we need to go and do extra research. In this case, I can answer this in that, given the choice, we would pave with asphalt every road in this township that we have control over. I mean, hands down, I would prefer it, to walk on, to drive on, for anything. The real issue we have is dollars.
Right.
Simply it's to do what you're suggesting, we would have to go through and pass a road levy.
Really?
Yes.
Because it can't be, this is just my thought, and I don't know numbers, so I'm not.
It costs 10 times as much
We've
does.
done the numbers,
Yes.
yeah.
But, you know, you would think with the cost, the effectiveness, I mean, with having to do it so often, and with our property guys, our taxes are, of course, everybody's are
Yeah.
sky high,
There's,
and,
and-
you
and-
know,
and-
it's a huge deal for our, it's just a small street, you know, it's a,
well, if you would present us a petition with every one of your neighbors that say that they would go out and knock on doors and work for us and help us in passing a road levy, you have my support. I will absolutely do it. But again, it's really not a matter of preference for us. I mean, we simply can't afford it. It costs 10 times as much. And that's, you know, you might look at the initial cost of asphalt, but that asphalt still has to be maintained. You know, we still have to keep up on it. We still have to do things like fog seals and
Reclamation.
You're right, thank you. Reclamation. Yes, thank you. So you know, there's still a maintenance component that goes into it. And I mean, we're all constantly trying to do more and more and more with less. When neighborhoods get added, you know, we inherit those things. The builders, the developers, they go about their merry way. But we're left holding the responsibility of all the maintenance and everything that goes along with it. So, I mean, to address it directly, I would love to. I would love to pave all of them. It's just, with our current budget, it's impossible.
but you see, we have, with our homeowners, we have budgets too, you know, and so we know exactly what you're talking about. But you know that in your home, or my home, or anyone's home, if something breaks, you're not gonna go out and purchase something that's only gonna last a very minimal time. I mean, you're gonna try to get something that's maybe not the best, but something that's gonna last, because it's gonna save you money in the long
Well,
run.
and I promise you, like,
The
the,
research has been done,
yeah,
yes.
we are all very well versed on this particular issue, because, you know, you look at our responsibilities, we're over the roads in the township, we're over the fire EMS, and then zoning. You know, that falls smack dab in the middle of everything that we're supposed to know through and through. And we have professionals like Scott and Gus that have been here a long time, helping us to continue doing more and more with less.
So Scott has a comment, I think, about the.
Well,
I think that the residents are under the impression that it's just going to be a chip seal and left that way, which is not the case.
Okay.
You know, we're planning on with the micro seal and the slurry seal, which is much more than just a fog seal, and painting it black, and what you would do to an asphalt driveway. This is a 3/8 to 1/4 of an inch additional layer on top of the chip seal. A good example would be at the Reserve of Waynesville, Sierra Way, Justin Court, Isaac Court, Mazola, which is what we did last year.
Yeah,
Which-
take a drive out there and see what, I mean, that's what he's proposing is what you're gonna get, so.
You know, I haven't been out there, and I know I was told that the reserve was a good example. I know a couple of my neighbors have, so I can't speak for
Yeah,
them.
and you know, I mean it truly, like, we would love to do that.
But you see, it's been at least 25 years since anything has been done other than one fix, except for, I think there were a couple potholes that were.
So and we you know, after the meeting, we can pull up some data and take a look and see, you know, what I can say though is, you know, from a cost benefit perspective, we've done the research. Scott goes on a yearly basis up to Ohio, to Columbus to find out all the latest and greatest technologies, the tools, the things that other townships are doing. He regularly meets with other townships here in the area, talks to the engineer. So it's one of those things where we're constantly talking to different municipalities and saying, okay, what did you do? How is that 5 years later? How is that 2 years later?
and we go together with the county on bids for our goods that we need and our contracting services, so, you know, we try to keep our costs down any way we can.
I very much dislike chip seal over asphalt. You know, if we have the option, I would take asphalt every time. However, I like taxes even less.
Well,
And you know, that's the thing that we have to balance, and especially after our fire department levy had failed. Luckily, the renewal had passed, which was wonderful, but you know, after our levy had failed, I think we're all a little shook over going through and asking the public for more money, because something we feel is, I mean, literally life-saving, we were denied, and we felt we had a pretty good outlook, a pretty good chance at it. So, you know, a lot of folks come out to the rural area to escape taxes, to escape the urban sprawl, and to escape big government and all these different types of things. But, you know, I would say out here is a country road. And, you know.
And Kenrick Road is a county road, actually, it's county
Right,
maintained.
yeah,
so
I know
it's-
that,
yeah,
that's what
okay.
But I guess I just think about how we just feel that we're out on the edge and we're not important. We do, we feel that way, and I can guarantee you, with myself anyway, that I would do anything to help pass a road levy, and I would be willing to go around with a petition to ask everyone in our neighborhood and on Kenrick Road, you know, to do the same. And I think a lot of the people that would sign that petition would do the same thing. I mean, we would be very willing to help, but we just feel real adamant about this. And if we would have found out about this, I wouldn't be here, and neither would some other people. But we're really, really adamant about trying to get the asphalt.
I
And I do
appreciate it,
realize,
we're gonna
you know,
move
it's
on,
a-
I think, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
One thing we have to realize, all of us pay what we consider higher taxes, but the majority of those higher taxes go to the school system.
Yes.
I know,
Yes.
every,
And I know you're the same boat I am, you don't have kids in school,
yeah,
but we still have to support our schools.
but, hey, thank you all for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And truly, it's not a no, it's just if the support from the public is there, then we are, I would say we're all willing to ask them, but I would say first and foremost on my mind right now, you know, I used to juggle and balance all kinds of things at one time, and to a certain extent I still do, but I really like having the focus of saying, we're going to solve this.
Right.
Once we did that, we're gonna move on to the next thing, and we frankly have to fix our fire department. Not that it's terribly broken, but
It's
we
life and death more.
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
and
We're all getting older, it's, yeah.
we're trying to plan for the next 10 years as our demographic is changing, as our, you know, our culture is changing, where volunteers are really hard to come by. And the old days of coming home and you know, turning on your beeper, your pager, and waiting for the call to come so you can go help your neighbor, like, we're struggling.
Yeah, I do understand that, but, thank you so
Thank
much.
You bet. No,
Thank
truly.
you. At least consider it, and you know, I hope that we don't get the chip seal and then find that even if the road levy were to pass, we're still stuck, you know, with the road seal. So that's why I hope we really talk about it and just try to understand our thoughts.
All right, we appreciate it,
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, appreciate it too, yeah.
Any other citizen comments tonight? Okay, moving on, we'll talk about the road department. Scott Camry.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
I really don't have anything to add to my report. I'll leave it stand as is, as far as that goes.
The roofs look great.
The roofs do look very well. I was hoping that we didn't have to replace any roof wood, but the shop, we did have to replace several sheets on it. But that building was built in '95. So, and this is the first re-roof that building's had since '95. So
That's a pretty good span.
we got the good out of
Yeah.
it. So, and quite frankly, the wood that was bad was on the lower end. Most of it low on the lower eaves. There's a few pieces up in the main section of the roof, but nothing real bad. Nothing that was rapidly seeping and leaking through.
Good.
So, but that, yeah, all looks good. We should,
RTM does a nice job.
yes, they do. Yes, they do. And we, I think they were, the bid that we received from them was money well spent.
It was, yeah.
So, other than that, I do not have anything else unless the board has questions for me.
I do not.
Appreciate your work, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, fire department report. Welcome back, Chief
Yeah, I
Shear.
lost my sling
Yes.
and just more physical therapy, but I'm back.
Good.
The 602, which is one of the 97 international tankers, had a high-pressure oil fault, and they thought first that they might tear the motor down because the oil pressure, high pressure is what controls the injectors on it. And we went from about $3,000 in repairs down to about $395 or something like that. The guy's from Xenia, he's actually a bus mechanic at the school, and he has his own shop, and he was able to find a sensor, a regulator. Although that truck's only got 7,000 miles on it, being 26, 27 years old, but it's, like Mike said, that you don't wanna do much to it because it's of its age. It's,
Yeah.
we got back in service. Fish fry this weekend, we're working on mulch around the station. I was talking to a guy about, getting some prices, and a resident of the township was sitting at my desk and said, oh, you wrote me a check out for $500, so here's part of your mulch.
Whoa,
So,
awesome.
that was great. Had a crew at the school the other day for the Ohio Means Jobs Career Day. On the 6th, a lot of questions during that event, so hopefully that will help along. And then the engine, just the information on that. And the 09 squad is on Gov Deals, and it's Medicine Reserve, so.
Good.
It was at 10,200 last I looked? Was it?
2002 was one of them early today.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. That's
Alright.
good.
It'll probably sit there till about Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll start climbing
Start
up.
up, yeah, that's
for
what I
the
figured.
sale, so.
Yeah.
Had a lot of people ask questions about it, so
Oh, good.
that's good, so.
Yeah,
Sent some other stuff in, I was asking if all the lights and siren, can I hear the motor run, so, I mean, everything's, there's been a lot of people talking about it, ask questions, so,
good.
that's good. That's all I've
Any other
got.
questions? Chief Shear?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Chief,
Thank you.
welcome back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank
I'll
you.
see you at the fish fry.
Yep.
All right, Stacy Lowing, our zoning inspector.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
So I've got two variances this week before the BZA. I wanted to make another plug for the Waynesville Business Expo that we're working with the Chamber of Commerce, and that'll be this Saturday at the elementary school gymnasium from 9 to 1. So come on out and win some prizes. We got some gift cards and gift baskets and things that you can put tickets in and win a prize, and check out your local businesses and nonprofits.
Get a fish sandwich on the way home.
Get a
That's
fish
right.
sandwich,
Yep.
Are you turning your application for fire?
Got your day planned out.
And then I just have for you tonight the reconciliation on the magazine. You know, the prices for printing are higher than they used to be, but still I felt like at $1,855 or 29 cents a copy, that was a pretty reasonable cost to get everybody a magazine. We're kind of at a tipping point. I have people calling that want to be advertisers, but not enough to warrant like 4 pages. So we probably have to kind of determine going forward. I have like a secondary list of people that get emailed if the regular advertisers don't want to proceed, because otherwise I'm at a point where I might accept 2 or 3 more ads, but then we need 3 more pages of content. So
Okay.
we're kind of at a point where, you know, yeah, I had some new interest after this magazine, but that's kind of how that stands for now.
It does, my little research I did up to all those routes and everything, I don't know if people realize, but it goes out to Harveysburg and Spring Valley. I mean, there's a wider range that it disperses out to, just because of the way the mail routes run and everything. It's kind of,
Yeah, it's kind of less expensive from what I understand
Right.
to do it that way, because it's not addressed, you just shuffle.
Everybody gets one.
one,
Right.
so that, even though it bleeds out further,
yeah, but it's good for the advertisers, you know,
That's true.
right? So they like
Good for the library.
Like that for those
and-
advertisers.
money.
Yeah,
That's all.
And I mean, frankly, again, to be able to send a magazine with all the local events lessen the cost of mailing the letter, I mean, is one of the things I'm probably most proud of since we've been here, so really, really good stuff.
Great. Thanks, Ms. Lily. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Gus Edwards, our administrator report.
Okay, welcome trustees. Just go through my items real quickly. Salt bids, basically, that's maybe the only thing that didn't go up in price.
Awesome.
It did not inflate. As you can see right here, last year we were $89.05 a ton, and this year the bids came in at $89.85 a ton, so that's good news, I guess. Health insurance, we're still the same on it, probably gonna go ahead and sign with that 24% increase. Weather event, we did have the avenue closed. I think Scott had that in his report on, for April 5th and April 6th. Seagraves fire apparatus update. Oh, this is a toughie. We're still negotiating. I talked with the president CEO on Friday. I spent Sunday working over some numbers and sent him 3 options. Told him I needed an answer before the meeting tonight, and I have not heard from him. But basically, he has not come off of any of the surcharge money, but he has offered us 2 more years extended warranty, which equates to about $26,000. He's offered us $10,000 a voucher for to go towards any repairs or whatever done through a Seagraves representative facility for any of our Seagraves equipment. So basically a $36,000 package that is something that they would have to pay for at a later date. So it's nothing off of the surcharge. So we've moved a little bit, but we haven't got anywhere on the actual price. Like I say, I gave him 3 options back, and I haven't heard him respond. I was really hoping for a phone call late this afternoon, but I haven't got it yet. So
Could you email us since our next meeting is until beginning of May, can you email us if you get anything?
yeah, yes, I absolutely will. Like I said, he wants to get this over with. I want to get it done with, and
We do too.
he knows that it's meeting, and, you know, I told him that, well, I can't make the decision, and I can only go with what the board gives me. You know, even when I give him a figure, I said, it still has to be approved by the board. So, I'm trying not to step outside what you guys have kind of given me the reins on. You know, one of my offers was up to close to a 50% reduction, I think. He's definitely did not respond to.
You didn't like that one, I bet, no.
They did, well, that's the second go round. The first was the 25%. Or $25,000 was 30%.
Okay.
And that was a no-go. He didn't come back with anything on it like I thought he would. That's when he came back and actually offered the additional services. So we'll just keep working away and see what we come up with. And I think I know where you guys stand. And I told him, I said, I don't know exactly until I actually present something to you guys and you vote on it. But I said, it's no guarantee if the board approval on it, so. As far as my property casualty insurance, the August renewal packet's out, and so been working on the updates on it and the equipment for the renewal on it. Reviewed it with Paul today on his stuff. I've got almost everything else together and should be turning that in this week. And Lori visited the Business Expo and the Fish Fry. And I guess the only thing ahead of it is the Recycle Rally follows the weekend after the Fish Fry, Saturday, April 29th, from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. Need all hands on deck. Any help we can get up there will be greatly appreciated.
All right, any questions for Gus?
I have none, thank you, sir.
None either.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. We have Old business is Convention Estates project, we're gonna vote on that at our next session. Website?
Still work in progress, I'm behind,
Okay.
but hopefully before our May meeting, I'll have something out to everybody.
Okay. Any, questions or concerns with the bills?
I have none.
I do not.
Okay, me neither. All right, we can do our first resolution, second one we're gonna have to wait on until after our 7:30 public hearing, but, so, resolution,
It's everybody.
oh, it is 7:30, okay.
My computer not.
Yes, yes, I know, it's like, it's so confusing sometimes. All right, so we're going to, open a public meeting. I don't have a script for this, do I? But that's okay, I'll just wing it.
Because there's no applicant, it's just.
Yeah, okay. We have, just for everybody sitting in the audience, we're having a public hearing tonight for some changes to the zoning code. And there are some minor things, text amendments, but Stacy, do you have, anything to present, or are we just gonna
Yes.
discuss? Okay.
He just will switch it over to my computer. So first, I'll just remind everybody of the process, and where we're at in that process. So these zoning amendments, we started working on, I keep a list of things that need amended over time. And I met with the zoning commission the first time back in February, and they had a meeting just to discuss what I had proposed, and to make, discussions about a couple items that we weren't certain about how to address them. Then made those improvements, and then on March 2nd, the zoning commission met, and they took the step of what's called initiate the amendments. Those amendments, then that draft is sent off to the regional planning commission, who the staff makes a recommendation, and then the RPC executive committee votes on that and gives a recommendation as well. And then it went back to the zoning commission on April 6th to make a final recommendation to the trustees. So the version that you have, I've also embedded it in the resolution, is the final addition that the zoning commission recommends for your approval. So I can just go through these and explain what the changes are. So the first group there is just things that are affected in the table of contents, so nothing really to talk about, so we'll talk about them down here. This first section, and the language is the same for the zoning commission and the board of zoning appeals. This is a change to the alternates. Before we had them written in our zoning code as a 5-year terms. We talked about 1 year. The zoning commission felt that 2-year terms, that way a member could, it would rotate every year and it wouldn't be at the same time. So that's kind of the language. Point out that the regional planning commission staff had recommended that we just say that the trustees could determine the length of the term, like that would be the language in here, because the Ohio Revised Code says that the trustees can pick a term, it's up to you. So the regional planning sees this a little bit as like writing a bylaw into the zoning, but really in reality, this can be amended at any time. So a new board of trustees could change the term. So the zoning commission just really felt it's better to lock in that it's a shorter term than a regular member, just because it could be like a trial for them to try out and make sure that you want to keep them on the board. And also, just like I said, with that rotating term. So I don't know if you have any questions about that, but that's been the biggest point that's gone back and forth between regional planning, zoning commission, and we've edited this like 3 different times.
Okay.
This is the final. final version, okay? So, you can
So
see,
Never mind, I'll talk about that some other time.
they just want me to keep going.
Yes.
All right, so
So
the
how-
next part is, an administrative interpretation. You've heard me talk about these before. If there's something on the, not on our table of uses, the process is for me to make a determination as to whether or not that use is like something else. This is very minor, but I have to give that, according to our zoning code, to the regional planning, and our code doesn't require them to say anything, and they get it, and they say, what do you want me to do with it? I don't know, we don't need you to do anything, so I'm just taking that out.
Okay.
This next section is from our table of uses. There's a category here, civic clubs, halls, and lodges, and for some reason, they were listed as a permitted use under commercial districts, which would have meant that I would simply give them a zoning permit, and I couldn't see a reason that they shouldn't go through a site plan
Right,
process.
okay.
So that's what that is. Okay. The next group of things that you're gonna see, I've added, in our table of uses, we had things that don't require zoning permits, but they're still regulated. They have sections that regulate them in the zoning code. But if I scroll down, there's this list of things, and we always had an asterisk down here and listed them and say they don't need a zoning permit. Some of them did not have that language down here. So that's just adding it. So we added home occupations because they don't require a zoning permit, yard and garage sales and so forth. So we're just kind of fixing that oversight. Questions on that? This next part, under residential accessory structures, I've had problems over the years with people that want to put up like a pergola for a patio shade. So you can add a roof on to your house and make a patio, but if you have a shed already or a pole barn and you go over the number of buildings you're allowed, pergola is counted as accessory structures, and so then you couldn't put that over your patio. So you'll see down here that arbors, pavilions, and pergolas will not count towards the number of structures. The number of structures greater than 200 square feet or the maximum footprint, and don't have to have the 10-foot setback from the house, just to kind of cure that. And also, I get a lot of those for pool shade as well. Okay, and then this next section about setback from the right-of-way, this is just a correction because what this section really meant was arbors, which are the little decorative items, not really pergolas and gazebos. So, just fixing that. The next issue had to do with swimming pools because I've had a number of variances that were requested and always granted by the BZA, which kind of points out something usually that needs fixed on these very large lots, where they were technically in the front yard. And like one of them was 1,300 feet from the road, another one was 400 or 500 feet. And so we spent a lot of time, the zoning commission, coming up with language for lots. So what they decided was to do, split it into lots less than 5 acres and greater than 5 acres for pools. And so if you have a lot that's 5 acres or greater, this would allow it in the front yard if it's at least 250 feet back from the right of way. And they also wanted to tie it to the house a bit, so it wasn't just off away from the house where there's no oversight at all, or, and so 50 feet has to be at least within 50 feet of the house as well. So 2 points, 250 feet and 50 feet from the house. So that would allow front yard pools. Any questions on that? No? Okay. The next item was secondary dwelling units. So this is another one where we have attached and detached secondary dwelling units. So when you have what we did call a secondary attached dwelling unit, it has to have internal connectivity in the house. So it can't be like sealed off like a duplex. So really the discussion kind of became, I was asking whether I could just I started out asking if I could just approve them without a hearing, because it never had one be denied by the BZA, because it's really just an addition to your house. And so, the zoning commission, worked on this and decided that we're just going to see these, if you approve it, as an addition. It's not gonna be like, it wouldn't be like a category or a thing in our zoning code where we just take it out, and putting that in is just like building your house a little bit bigger. So, I still read, whenever somebody builds a house or puts an addition on the house, I always see the floor plan, so I know that, you know, if it was a duplex, I can tell, and then that wouldn't be something I would approve. So, taking out all this language, and just considering it. I mean, we had a point, you know, in other jurisdictions, I had somebody that's on the board, Jeff, you know, he's like, they have houses with 4 kitchens in them, you know, that are built. And so how do you determine really when it's another, so, you understand?
How are you supposed to read into someone's intention and say, well, your intention is this, and if your intention is to bring your mother-in-law in here, well, you can't do that, you know,
Yeah, and I did have a family, maybe a couple of years ago, that came in with a plan, and just the way it was designed, I couldn't follow our rules, like to determine how many square feet they were blending, like, you know, some of this living space was for the whole family, some was just for her, and then there was another kitchen, and they elected to take the kitchen out so that I wouldn't have to call it a dwelling, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of the issues I run into.
Yeah.
All right, what?
It's government.
They say, well, that's silly, I'm allowed to build as many bedrooms as I want normally. All right. So that causes the other one, so all we'll have now is secondary dwelling units that are detached. So the definitions and the numbering and so forth are changing because I'm just bumping all that up into that spot. All right. All right, the next part we'll tackle is, there's been some changes proposed for signs. One of them was to differentiate between permanent and temporary signs. So I've rewritten this heading that these will be general design standards for all permanent signs. And then if we scroll down, there's some general design standards for temporary signs, which will literally just be, there's no lighting on temporary signs. So these other things about the sign structure being integral and so forth, and the structural numbers, those will be for permanent signs. And I said, I do want to point out that there are signs I can't regulate at all, and we've talked about that, agricultural signs, so those would be neither of these, those would be just their own. The next part, that these changes in signs came about because I gave you a copy of, an administrative interpretation I did for a ground sign, because, we had somebody come in and want to put up a sign for the mobile home park, and when I started reading it, there was no avenue to give them a sign. So, these changes are all based on that administrative interpretation that I did, that the prosecutor's office reviewed. Basically, we have a table that shows that we have residential districts, and we have other districts that are business and industrial, and we have things called special districts, and those are things like mobile home parks and, I just went blank. I'm looking back here.
Recreation?
Yeah, recreation and gravel pits and,
Okay.
and all those things have their own category. So but the problem became is that, first of all, those special districts weren't listed in these tables that tell you what size sign you can have and that signs are allowed. And secondly, that mobile home parks or manufactured home parks as a special district, if I kept them in that language, they would be given signs that are more appropriate for industrial or business use. So this language under 3.410 puts non-residential signs. I'm gonna skip it. So under residential districts, 3.409, manufactured home parks got added in here so that they could have a place that they can get sign regulations from. And then if I go down to signs in non-residential districts, the original language said that the sections apply to all districts not identified as residential on that table I was talking about, and I had to take manufactured home parks out of this because they're part of that special district. That's a little confusing. Is there any questions about that?
No.
It just kind of, you had to spell out what they were because they're not logical where they're at.
Great.
All right, so if we go down here, this sign in special districts, we're just adding this language right here, so that you can get a sign in a special district as a
Okay.
permanent gateway sign. And the same thing down here, this is all about ground signs, and so I added the special districts into the ground sign regulations. All right. And then the rest of it is all definitions, so I've defined those terms that were up above in the accessory dwelling and accessory uses table, arbor, gazebo, pavilion, and pergola, and then, the zoning commission recommended this change to the definition of dwelling unit, and that's to take care of the, attached secondary dwelling, which is no longer that, but we have to make sure that the living area has an internal connectivity on all levels and above grade. I do want to point out that can be the garage as well, because as long as it's not sealed off, it's not a duplex under, you know how the county looks at it. And then a definition change for family, just taking out living as a single housekeeping unit. Just kind of modernizing that language, because you start thinking about 2 kitchens, and can somebody say, well, they're not living as a single housekeeping unit if you're cooking in 2 kitchens. So
Yeah.
it's just basically cleaning that up. And the secondary dwelling unit language has been changed. Here's the new definition, because it's now just a detached accessory building associated with a primary dwelling that serves as an additional living space. So those will still go through the Board of Zoning Appeals for conditional use approval, the detached. And that's everything, unless you have a lot of information.
That's good, though.
Do you have any questions?
The only one I had is that, at the top, you're talking about the zoning alternates. When does that take effect? Or how are we going to transition into that?
We don't have any, well,
Yeah.
I'll correct myself. We have one alternate on the Board of Zoning Appeals, zoning commission right now, that will go off in October.
Okay.
So if you've got 2 appointments, you would have, so you got 2 of them right away, you'd have to do one a 2-year appointment and one a 1-year appointment, right? Yeah.
So this one would have to wait, the other one would have to be this year.
No, you can put them both on.
You could put them both on, just
One has a
Stack
1-year
their
term.
terms.
Oh,
Staggered
okay,
term.
I see what you're saying then.
one with
Okay.
2 years and then one with 1 year.
Gotcha.
But the BZA, we just did a 5-year.
You're right, so you're locked in.
Yeah.
For 5 years,
for
no,
that.
go from there. Okay.
Stacy, tons of work obviously went into this. I mean, my kudos to you and the zoning commission.
We batted around a good
Oh,
bit.
Well, and you know, these are.
Pools took a while.
Pools took a long
Pools and
while.
family.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, truly, there's nothing here that I think is controversial. I mean, it's everything that you've been addressing over and over again that needed some adjustment. So, the only comment I would have, and this is gonna sound goofy, but, under gazebo definition, octagon should be octagonal. That is my contribution to this version of the
I got
zoning
this out of
code.
a website somewhere, so I'm not a
Grammar.
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 Octagonal.
octagonal.
I think it's good that we take the time
Yeah.
out to be able to readjust and look at all the different nuances with the zoning code.
Right.
You know, very good job, Stacy, and same thing, Scott, very good job by all the zoning board.
Well, I mean,
members.
that, when we updated the code, you know, we put that in there that we, you know, we wanted to do this annually.
Yeah,
You know, based off of the zoning inspector, you know, because, you know, what better person to see, you know, what's getting hiccuped and hitches and just not working. I
Correct.
mean, so, yeah, COVID kind of threw a little kink in the.
Sneeze into it.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
A few things.
So now, we're getting back on track, so, yeah, this was a pretty big chaw we bit off on this one, but we worked through it, we batted it around a good bit, but we worked through it, and, you know, Stacy was very patient with us.
So as part of the public, does any public have any comments about the changes? Anything you'd like to see different of what was proposed? All right, hearing none. Then at this point, I think I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so back to regularly scheduled meeting here. It is 7:51 PM. And we will go to our first resolution, which is Resolution 2023-26, which is the Wayne Township Road Garage Replacement Project. And this is a formal thing we have to do to use the American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA funds, and we would like to vote to use $25,000 of the ARPA funds to help pay for a portion of that building, which costs $39,725 to do 2 roofs. And he's getting there. So this resolution just allows us to spend that $25,000 out of those funds in order to pay for these roofs, a portion of it. I'll make a motion. Any questions about the
I have none.
resolution? Okay,
No,
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-26.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Colvin, seconded by Mr. Patrick to adopt resolution 2023-26. Call roll on Ms. Colvin,
Yes.
Mr. Patrick. Yay. And Mr. Jacobs.
yes,
This resolution is hereby adopted this the 18th day of January 2023, 18th day of April 2023.
We're getting there.
3 months behind.
Yeah.
You're all right.
Okay, resolution 2023-27. This is a resolution concerning the zoning text amendments that we would like to change, presented tonight. And I think the only change was octagonal versus octagon for Josh's grammar corrections, so, no other changes to it? No, all right. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Okay,
I will second that.
all right.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Patrick, second by Mr. Jacobs to adopt resolution 2023-27. Call roll thereon, Mr. Jacobs,
Yes,
Ms. Colvin,
Yes,
Mr. Patrick.
Yes.
This resolution is adopted this the 18th day of April 2023.
okay. So, do we have any correspondence tonight that came in?
I
He's
have
still
one
writing,
piece, I
I
have
know,
one piece
he
of
is. He's
correspondence
still
from the
writing.
Warren County Health District. It is their monthly news and information publication, if anyone wants to look at it. Who's the second on that pass?
Andy.
Okay, I want to make sure, I thought it was, but.
They're all part of the new resolution.
Do you have any,
No.
no correspondence, okay. Elected officials' comments. I'd like to say I saw that tomorrow there's a at the Carriage Hill Retirement Center at 7 PM. Dave Stubbs is giving a presentation about the Low Head Dam in Corwin, about the potential removal of that. So I think that'd be a good
Where's
thing.
that again?
It's at the Carriage Hill Retirement Center on Adamsmore Drive, right near the fire station. So, I don't know, I'm interested to see what that's all about. Anybody else would like to attend?
That's pretty good.
Any other comments from,
And just, want to thank everybody who's come out tonight, especially sharing your thoughts,
Thank you so much.
about the, chip seal and, if we can find out, when was the last time we took action on Hacker Farm Lane?
Hacker Farm Lane was slurry sealed the same year that we slurry sealed, Cedar Creek Estates.
Okay.
And I can pull that up here real quickly.
That was in,
Cedar Creek, that would have been,
Been since I've.
04.
'04. No,
We've slurry sealed this since I've been here. That puts us at.
we chipped Caesar's Creek Estates with 9s in '04. No, that ain't right either. No, we slurry sealed it
Slurry sealed for it.
in '04, that's right, and then
And that's
chip sealed it with 9s.
in 13.
Correct,
And then slurry sealed it in 22 last year.
correct.
So in '04 is the same contract that we slurry sealed, Hacker Farm Lane. And
it's been a while.
to be kind of point blank about it is the reason that we have not really done a whole lot out there other than, grind out and repair the, expansion joints and so forth is because we didn't want to, we didn't want to put, chip seal down. But this new process that we started last year, I think, is a good compromise between an asphalt overlay and chip seal. Even though it's got chip seal part of it, it does get the slurry seal put over it, which then makes basically your chip seal, as you guys know, non-existent. The chip seal actually puts down a layer of solid sealant that will cover all the cracks in the asphalt so that anything that gets put into the surface, anything that's put over top of that won't get down into the base asphalt and cause it to deteriorate and crack more. That's one thing we found out with the slurry seal, putting it over direct asphalt on Thomas Drive, is now we're seeing some reflective cracking that's coming back through the slurry seal because it's more rigid. So we're hoping with what we did last year on reserve, it's basically 2 layers of chip seal. So you have about a month to put up the chip seal before the slurry seal goes over top of it. And the slurry seal is not as smooth because it doesn't get rolled as asphalt, but it's basically, it comes out
Black surface though, and it does look better than your chip seal.
Well, I drove through the reserve, and I've seen that, and that looks good. So that's what we will get.
Yes.
And that's what you're going for.
That's what is planned, yes.
And if you can't do that, you won't do it at all.
That's what we are
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, there's no intention for us to just do a flat chip seal.
Okay,
No,
okay.
something
So
else.
you're going for what the reserve looks like, right?
Correct.
And it'll be ugly for how long before?
30 days.
30 days before the final product is put on?
Keep your
approximately?
Corvettes in the garage,
Yeah.
you know?
I would love to be able to sit here and tell you that it'd be 30 days, guaranteed. But I can't do that, because it's 2 different contractors, and I'm at the mercy of their schedule. Okay, so if they're on a job before they come to us, and it rains for a week and a half, they're in a week and a half behind. So I can guarantee that it will be done by the end of the construction year, okay? But I cannot guarantee that it's gonna be within 30 days or 45 days, or, you know,
And we did have people that, at the reserve, when we did that, where they got very concerned. You know, you guys are gonna leave it this way? No, we're not. So that's there's a small window where you have to deal with the traditional chip seal kind of setup, but that's not the way that it's left, and we found this slurry seal has been great for us.
Well, I'm very happy as long as because they're very particular, and I think.
Cut that off the recording so this guy didn't get in trouble.
Now, Linda, if you would have listened to me, okay, because when I told you on the phone chip seal, your ears went boom, and you did not hear the slurry seal part and that reserve.
No, I did. I did. But I just came here for you to tell me again.
Confirmation.
Now, Aunt Buttons, do you think that I would tell you?
Those three up there.
Well, thanks for taking the focus
Hey,
off.
I'm
me.
watching you, Scott. I've got my eyes on you.
Linda, I have never lied to you, and I never
And
will.
you haven't, and when you came out and fixed my grass, now my mayor thought you did a very good job. Thank you.
I'll go one step further. What I'll do is those that signed in from Hacker Farm Lane tonight, I will send you a letter this week that we sent out to all the residents on the subdivisions that we did last year. And it'll give you links to different, I believe I had in there links to different YouTube videos. It'll show you the process and so forth and what it'll let. So it'll tell you what the process. And then if you have any questions, after you drive the reserve, get this letter, then please come back to our May 2nd meeting and let us know what you think.
If you still want higher taxes, come back.
Yeah. You can come back anyway.
Well, I really appreciate it.
But again, truly, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
Hopefully we
Scott,
can
do
ease
you
your
have to do
mind
any
a
like
little bit.
pre-work before they get there, anything like that? Or you don't have?
I will, not when we're doing the chip seal, I have crack sealed out there, but since we're gonna do the chip seal, I'll forego that and save that expenditure because the chip seal will seal
We'll
that.
see all right. Okay, that's what I
And
said.
then we get the double seal with the slurry.
Any other elected officials' comments?
Oh, I got a couple.
Okay.
Do you have your email address?
The other thing that I have is that I was hoping to get an updated like email on the road and spreadsheet that we have in our funds too, so you can get an update of that.
Okay.
Spread around, so we see where everything's at.
Okay.
The other two is today is Lineman Appreciation Day. So I work for AS Ohio, so one of the things we do, we appreciate the linemen that are out there trying to restore your power and keep things going the way we do and stuff like that. So I definitely appreciate all the guys and stuff, and especially our place.
All
So,
right.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes. Okay, cybersecurity, we had a conversation without you last time, and you saw it. Do you have any questions? David's here. Any
No.
questions to what we talked about?
I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
okay,
That was good last time, so it was good.
Yeah.
yeah. Executive session, we don't have any tonight, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 8:03 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.